Hey guys, it's Fair Play of TeamDTF here, and I got you guys a brand new segment on cards you may not know that are really good. They have been played before, but you never really, they're great tech cards and you should try them out, so yeah. First of all, I chose 5 cards that are really good, I think, and they should try them. So, first is Mystical Ref Panel. This card is really underrated from Duelist Revolution, and it's a really low valued card. But if you guys don't know the effect, the effect is activate when a spell card that targets one player is activated. The effect of that spell card is applied to the other player instead. So basically, whenever a card is activated, like a spell card that is modifying the game, you could activate this. You can't activate this on Dark Hole because Dark Hole doesn't target, and there's other stuff that also don't target as well. But it's like it doesn't work for Mystical Space and stuff like that, but it works for stuff like Pot of Duality. So basically, your opponent activates Pot of Duality, and since Gravekeepers are so popular nowadays, this would be a great card to play. Just tech it 1 or 2, and they won't even know what the card does, first of all, unless you specify it. Once they Royal Tribute you, they're gonna look at your hand, and then you can just set it down, and they won't even use it. Like they'll use their Descendant to destroy other stuff if they're like a really new player and they don't know the shit, and they're just some random kid who bought like the Merrick Structure deck and wants to like be friggin' pro and bought Pot of Dualities with it, and he's all just net decking it. So you basically play this on Pot of Duality. Instead of your opponent drawing, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and you get to select one and add it to your hand. But the cool thing about it is that he gets the effects of the bad effects of Pot of Duality. He can't special summon that turn, because it doesn't really affect you if you special summon that turn, because you're not special summoning first of all at all. But that's how the card works, and he can't special summon. Another great combo I learned and I did with this card on Isaac was it's all instinct, because I run Black Wings, so you have to, after playing like the first duel, you would probably know what deck he's playing, so you'd be like, oh, he's playing Light Swarms. But Isaac was playing like I forgot, a quick draw deck, but he only ran 2 chaos, so the possibilities of him drawing into a chaos was like really low. So I was like, okay, so I comboed this card with Allure of Darkness. Basically, I'm using my Allure of Darkness on him, so I activate this, he draws into 2 cards, and he has to remove a dark monster or he discards his whole hand. He did not draw any dark monsters, and he had to fetch his whole hand, which was about 4 cards. And that's a plus a lot for me. So I knew he didn't have anything, so I dominated that duel and proceeded to win against his quick draw deck. So yeah, another card, Dark Bribe. This card is a card I really recommend people trying this card. The prices on this is still bumped kinda high, but I recommend this card highly, because 7 tools has become so obsolete nowadays that I feel that spell and trap cards need to be negated. So Dark Bribe is a counter that negates spells and traps, but your opponent draws 1 card. This card is so good against Necro Valley, Royal Tribute. Even if he draws into another one, you stopped 1. And if you have those Mystical Space Typhoons and other stuff like that, you will be more safe. Like, it helps you out a ton. It's better than having your 7 tools on the field, and this fool's Royal Tributing you. He's like, has a Necro Valley out there, and there's nothing you can do. Dark Bribe says no to everything, so you have to stop those spells and traps. This stops Dark Hole, it stops Solemn Judgment, it stops Solemn Warning, it stops all that, and he pays the cost. So if you're out there, Dark Bribe is a good card, so I suggest people running that card. Another card, Mischief of the Yokai. This card, I understand why now that people that Konami has this card in Ulti and Ultra. Basically, it says each face-up monster on the field loses 2 levels until the end phase. You can remove from play this card from your graveyard to select one face-up monster and reduce its level by 1 until the end phase. This effect cannot be activated the turn you activated this card. So basically, this is a great card. If you're playing a quick draw deck, level control is, you know that level control is really important because you synchro so much. So this card benefits you and it could hurt your opponent as well. So if you're doing a quick draw mirror match, you set this. He pulls out his Debris Dragon and he pulls out his Dandy. You play Mischief for the Yokai. You basically gave him a monster that has 2 stars and a 1 star, and he can't synchro for nothing. And he has to, you force him to end his phase because he can't. That's what his big push was for. Unless he special summons another card like Global, but then that's a whole different story. But I'm saying for this situation, this card will be awesome. And even when you think this card is done, this card is in the graveyard, you remove it from play and you could choose a monster face up. This could also benefit you. So say you have a Raikou and you have no tokens. So you go remove this and you reduce your level of your Raikou by 1, and your Raikou is now 1 star and you're global. So you synchro for 2 and you make a formula, and then you basically can push for game or do other stuff because you didn't need those tokens. So that's another good thing. And for those monsters that you're afraid of, like say, oh, he has a 6 star, he's gonna pull out a 6 star like a Drill Warrior or something. You remove this from play, you can stop that play, and he can't synchro for that 5-star card, and well, for that 6-star card, and basically he has to synchro for 5, which he most likely doesn't have, which is if he does like a type of move involving quick draw synchron. So yeah, this is a great card. People underestimate it, but yeah. Another great card, Dark Coffin. You guys may not know the effect. When this face down card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, your opponent selects and executes one of the following effects. Discard 1 random card in their hand. So he has to execute one of these following effects. So if this card is destroyed, they execute one of the following effects. So it goes, discard 1 random card in their hand. So they have to discard randomly a card from their hand. The next card is select 1 monster on their side of the field and destroy it. So basically they have to select a monster on their side of the field and destroy it. So say he goes MST first turn, and I have this set. He knocks this. He basically has to discard a card randomly from his hand because the other option is not applicable. So basically, since he has no monsters, he has to discard from his hand. And Dark Coffin is such a great card. So also against GKs, if you go Descendant, because Descendant's always blowing up back rows. So he goes Descendant, blow up your back row. You basically destroy his Descendant in return, or he has to because he's gonna Descendant, destroy probably a Recruiter or a Spy or whatever, most likely a Recruiter, but you destroy his Descendant, so you destroyed his power to pop your monsters or pop your back row and stop you. So basically this is a good card for a counter. I'd recommend that you only run 1 or 2 depending on the type of deck you run. If you run Black Wings, I suggest you could run 2, but highly unlikely, or if you're playing a Gravekeeper deck, I suggest run 2. But Black Wings and if you're siding against a card that does a lot of back row destruction, especially Black Wings, this is a great counter for Black Wings. So everyone out there, think about this card, run it. I've never found a person side this against me, but I would side this against me, because I will blow the shit out of your back row. But yeah guys, this card is really amazing. I really recommend that you guys try it. It's not gonna hurt. Play it, play test it. If you play Black Wings, you could also tribute this card, especially since Gravekeeper's been a lot of Starlight. You tribute your monster and one of your cards and hit one of their cards. You don't hit 2 of their cards ever with because you know they have Starlight. So be aware of that, and Dark Coffin will reward you. Basically, you get a 2 for 2. So you get what you wanted, and you could probably hit their hand either too. So be aware of that. And my last card, I've been collecting these, so I'm gonna get more. So because you never know when you might find a good card, and people underestimate everyone and all these cards and these amazing effects because they don't see the use for it yet, but I see the uses, and hopefully you guys see it too. So here's my last card, Different Dimension Ground. If you guys don't know, it says this turn any monster sent to the graveyard is moved from play instead. So basically, what I interpreted this card, I haven't looked up the ruling yet because there is no ruling yet for it, but so basically if you tribute they go, this basically saves you for a turn from Gravekeepers. If you guys are playing Gravekeepers out there, if they're playing anything, like a lot of cards that do destruction, they will be afraid to use this card, or like Effect Valor or anything. So people who run Effect Valor D.D Crows, they will be afraid of this card. People who run GKs will be afraid of this card because you play the how I interpret it is you play this, so he pops his monster, you play this, and basically his monster gets removed and he doesn't get the effect because the card is not sent to the graveyard and it's basically removed from play. And he can't Commandant either. Commandant, use Commandant's effect. So unless he wants to get, or I don't even think he can use it. He can't even use Commandant because it says you have to discard it to the graveyard. I'm pretty sure. Let me look it up real quick. I haven't looked up the effects on a lot of these guys. Yeah, you have to discard it to the graveyard. So you can't discard it to the graveyard because there is no graveyard. Because it's going to the remove pile. So he can discard, saves you a turn. And then he can't Royal Tribute either, because if you look up Royal Tribute's effect as well, it says the card can only be activated when your necro is activated on the field. Both players must discard all their monsters in the hand to the graveyard. You're not basically sending the card to the graveyard. You're sending the cards. You're not discarding your cards to the graveyard. You're discarding it to the remove pile. So basically, their effect is not applicable to use. How I interpret it. If you guys find anything like a ruling on it and tell me about it, I won't, like, it will sway my judgment towards using this card, but I say use this card because it's really good. Same thing with Card Trooper, you have to mail it to the graveyard. Effect Value, you have to ditch it to the graveyard. Honest, you have to ditch it to the graveyard. It's the same thing as having a Banisher on the field. If you have a Banisher on the field, you can't collude, you can't Honest, because the cards need to go to the graveyard. It specifies in the text. So this card is really great. Use it. I hope you guys benefit from these 5 cards. So here we go. This is the card order: Mystical Ref Panel, Dark Bribe, Mischief of the Yokai, Dark Coffin, and Different Dimension Ground. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this segment. I will be doing a deck profile on new decks. I'm planning I want to look into Karakuri OTK, or the Karakuri Gear Town. So if you guys are interested in that, stay tuned for that. I will have also a debris deck coming up, debris synchro, if you guys are interested in that as well. So stay tuned. This is a fair play of TeamDTF signing out.